Under Camden's twinkling garden lights, Clara Whitaker braced for her mother's cutting words, a lifelong sting. But when her daughter Nora raised a hidden letter from the past, the party froze, and a buried truth shattered the Whitaker family's facade, rewriting their story forever. In Camden, Maine, the Whitaker estate glowed on a May afternoon in 2025. Its manicured gardens transformed for Elise Whitaker's engagement party. Clara Whitaker, 37, a freelance graphic designer, arranged lavender macarons by the dessert table, her navy dress slightly creased from scrubbing her daughter Nora's sneakers the night before. Nora, 10, with auburn curls in a loose braid and green eyes sparking with curiosity, darted through the crowd in her polka dot dress, already scuffing her shoes. Clara, a single mother since her divorce from Ethan 5 years ago, had driven her dented 2013 Subaru from Portland to help, though her efforts were invisible to her mother, Evelyn Whitaker. Evelyn, 68, commanded the scene, her silver hair perfect, pearls gleaming, clipboard in hand. At 68, she was Camden's social queen, her smile a mask of control. Clara, the napkins need folding, diagonally, she said, barely looking up. Clara nodded, swallowing the sting of being treated like staff. Elise, 32, floated in a cream, silk dress, her fiancé, Daniel Harper, a Boston architect, at her side. Evelyn fawned over Elise, adjusting her hair, cooing, "You're radiant, darling, a perfect bride." Clara, folding napkins, felt the familiar ache of being second best, a role she'd played since childhood. The garden was enchanting, white chairs on the lawn, fairy lights woven through oaks, roses floating in crystal bowls. Signs read, "Love blooms here." Clara, whose marriage to Ethan was a courthouse, formality followed by a pregnancy test and divorce focused on blending in. Her wedding had no fanfare, no ring worth flaunting. Nora, her heart, chased fireflies by the lilacs, her laughter a lifeline. Clara's friend, Maggie Porter, a local bookshop owner, helped with setup, whispering, "Evelyn's in rare form." Clara sighed. When isn't she? As guests arrived, Camden's elite, Elise's Boston friends, Evelyn's voice carried. Holding up her sapphire ring, a family heirloom from Clara's father, Henry, she said, "Elise's ring is stunning, but mine's the real treasure. Clara won't see one like this." Laughter rippled, uneasy. Elise giggled, waving it off, but Clara's smile froze, the jab landing like a blade. "Mom, it's Elise's day," Clara said softly, redirecting. Evelyn's eyes glinted. "Oh, Clara, maybe you'll pick better men next time." The words, aimed at Clara's divorce, stung publicly. Clara poured wine, her laugh hollow, eyes finding Nora by the lilacs. Nora's gaze sharpened, catching Clara's pain. She approached, tugging Clara's sleeve. "Why does Grandma talk to you like that?" Her voice was pure, cutting through Clara's defenses. Clara knelt, forcing a smile. "It's just her way, honey." Nora's frown deepened. "It's mean." Clara hugged her, grounding herself in Nora's warmth. Then Nora whispered, "Mom, can I give Grandma the letter Grandpa left?" Clara froze. "What letter?" Nora pulled a worn envelope from her star-shaped purse. Henry's handwriting. "To Elise when the time is right. Hit Clara like a tidal. Wave." Henry, a lobsterman who died 6 years ago, had been Clara's confidant, his study her refuge. Clara thought they'd cleared his belongings, but Nora explained, "I found it in his desk, in the attic, behind his logbooks. I was looking for paper to draw." Clara's chest tightened. "Why today?" Nora shrugged, her instincts unshaken. It felt right. Clara studied the envelope, its edges soft, ink-faded but deliberate. Evelyn was across the garden, praising Elise's ring, guests snapping photos under lanterns. Clara, invisible, held her father's voice. She didn't know its contents, love, pain, or warning, but Nora's certainty was electric. Maggie nearby raised an eyebrow. "That's Henry's writing. What's it say?" Clara shook her head. "I don't know." She looked at Nora. "If you want to give it to her, you can." Nora nodded, climbing onto a chair, her voice piercing the chatter. "Grandma, I have something from Grandpa." The garden stilled, glasses paused, and Clara's heart raced. Nora's announcement halted the engagement party, her small figure on the chair a focal point. "Mom said it's okay," she added, holding the envelope high. Elise, startled, walked over, laughing nervously. "What's this, Nora?" Evelyn's smile tightened, her voice dismissive. "Just one of Henry's old notes, I'm sure." Clara stood frozen, the envelope's weight echoing in her mind. Guests watched, the breeze, stirring roses, the fairy lights casting a soft glow. Elise took the letter, her fingers tracing Henry's handwriting. "For me?" she asked, glancing at Clara. Clara nodded, her throat dry. Evelyn stepped closer, her tone sharp. "Darling, let's not make a fuss." Elise ignored her, opening the envelope with care. The garden's hum, music, laughter, clinking glasses, faded, leaving only the crinkle of paper. Clara watched Elise's face, years of distance between them. Elise, the family's golden child, had thrived in New York's PR world, her life polished, her engagement to Daniel a social triumph. Clara, with her freelance gigs, single motherhood, and dented Subaru, was the overlooked eldest, her struggles dismissed by Evelyn's narrative of Elise's perfection. Elise unfolded the letter, her eyes scanning the page. Her smile vanished, brows knitting as she reread a line, her breath catching. Evelyn's voice grew tighter. "Sweetheart, it's nothing. Henry was sentimental." Elise kept reading, her hands trembling. Clara's pulse hammered. She didn't know the letter's words, but Henry's deliberate nature meant this was no trivial note. He'd been the family's quiet anchor, his love for both daughters fierce but often overshadowed by Evelyn's favoritism, which Clara had endured since childhood, her art ignored, her divorce weaponized, her role as Nora's mother belittled. Elise looked up, her face pale. "Clara, did you know?" Clara shook her head. "Nora found it today. I've never seen it." Daniel, sensing the shift, stepped closer. "Everything okay?" Elise didn't answer, her gaze locking on Evelyn. "Why didn't you tell me?" Evelyn blinked, her composure fraying. "Tell you what, darling." Elise's voice shook. "The ring, the heirloom. Dad says it was meant for Clara, the eldest." A collective gasp rippled through the guests. Evelyn's mouth twitched, her smile brittle. "Oh, darling, it's just jewelry. Henry had odd ideas about tradition." Elise's eyes hardened. "He says you took it, that it was Grandma's, meant for Clara." The garden silence was suffocating. Clara's mind reeled. The sapphire ring, Evelyn's pride, was flaunted as her due. Clara had never questioned it, assuming it was Evelyn's by right, her own worth too diminished to claim it. Evelyn laughed, a thin, nervous sound. "You're trusting a dusty note over your own mother?" Elise's voice was steel. "Maybe. I am." Clara's breath caught. For the first time, she wasn't invisible. Elise held the letter like a shield, reading aloud. Evelyn never believed Clara deserved the family's worth. Not love, not recognition, not the ring your grandmother left for her. If she gives it to you, Elise, know it was stolen. Clara stayed silent to keep peace, but you deserve the truth. Guests shifted uncomfortably, some stepping back, others whispering. Daniel's jaw tightened, his hand on Elise's shoulder. Evelyn's face paled, her composure cracking. "Henry was confused at the end," she said, her voice sharp. "He wasn't himself." Elise folded the letter, placing it on a table. He knew exactly what he wrote. Clara met Nora's anxious eyes, nodding to reassure her. Maggie, nearby, whispered, "Holy hell, Clara. Henry's dropping bombs from the grave." Elise turned to Clara, tears glistening. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." Clara squeezed her hand, her voice soft. "It's okay." Elise shook her head. "It's not." She slipped off her engagement ring, the sapphire gleaming under the lights. "This isn't mine." Guests gasped again. Clara stepped back, stunned. "Elise, that's yours. Daniel gave it to you." Elise nodded, her voice breaking. "But it's set in Grandma's ring. Mom lied, said it was tradition." "It's theft." Evelyn rushed forward, her voice rising. "Enough! You're embarrassing yourself." Elise's response was calm, but firm. "You've done that for us." Daniel stood by Elise, silent but resolute. Nora took Clara's hand, whispering, "Did I do something bad?" Clara knelt, hugging her tightly. "No, baby. You told the truth." The garden's lights flickered, the myth of Evelyn's perfection unraveling before Camden's elite. The engagement party stood frozen, Evelyn's carefully curated facade crumbling under Elise's words. Clara, holding Nora's hand, felt decades of quiet endurance lift, replaced by a surreal validation. Evelyn's voice, now sharp, cut through the silence. "This is ridiculous. You're ruining Elise's day over a note from a man gone 6 years." Elise's eyes didn't waver. "It's not just a note, it's Dad's truth." Clara's mind flashed to Henry. His evenings in his study, logbooks filled with neat script, his love for her and Elise tempered by Evelyn's control. He'd never confronted Evelyn's favoritism directly, his gentle nature avoiding conflict. But this letter was his stand, timed for Elise's moment of triumph. Clara, who'd endured Evelyn's jabs, her divorce mocked, her art dismissed, her role as Nora's mother belittled, felt seen, not by her own fight, but by her father's foresight. Maggie, standing nearby, gripped Clara's arm. "Your dad knew, Clara. He always did." Elise held the ring, offering it to Clara. "This was yours." Clara shook her head, her voice unsteady. "Keep it, Elise. It's your engagement." Elise's voice broke. "Mom reset it, said it was a family tradition. It's theft." Daniel, stepping closer, spoke softly. "Elise, we'll get a new ring. This isn't right." Evelyn's laugh was brittle, her charm faltering. "You're all being dramatic. It's just jewelry." Elise turned to Clara, her eyes wet. "I thought you didn't care about things like this. I should have asked." Clara's throat tightened. "I didn't fight because I thought I'd lose." Elise's tears fell. "You shouldn't have. Had to." Nora, clutching Clara's hand, looked up. "Is Aunt Elise mad at me?" Clara whispered. "No, she's sad. Truth hurts sometimes." Nora nodded, her small face serious, absorbing the moment's weight. Guests murmured, some slipping away, others watching like spectators at a scandal. Camden's gossip mill, already buzzing, would feast on this. Evelyn, cornered, tried charm. Again. "Let's not spoil the day. Clara, tell them it's fine." Clara met her mother's gaze, years of silence boiling up. "It's not fine, Mom. You made me feel less my whole life." Evelyn's eyes widened, but she deflected. "You're twisting this, as always." Elise placed the ring on the table, its sapphire glinting. "I'm not wearing a lie." Daniel nodded, his arm around her. Evelyn's voice rose, her control slipping. "You're humiliating me in front of everyone." Elise's response was quiet, but piercing. "You did that yourself." Clara, heart racing, felt Nora's grip tighten. She'd never seen Elise challenge Evelyn, never felt this shift in their dynamic. Henry's letter, through Nora's courage, had cracked their family's polished surface, exposing its flaws to Camden's watching eyes. Clara knelt to Nora, her voice steady despite the chaos. "You were so brave, sweetheart." Nora's eyes were wide. "Grandma's mad." Clara nodded. "She's mad because the truth came out. That's not your fault." Elise approached, hugging Clara tightly. "I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Clara's voice was soft. "You couldn't have." The sisters stood, united, as Evelyn's control dissolved. Guests dispersed, the party's joy replaced by whispers of scandal. Clara and Nora left quietly, walking down the gravel path to their car. Maggie followed, offering a hug. "You okay, Clara? That was intense." Clara managed a smile. "I don't know yet." Nora's question broke the silence as they reached the Subaru. "Did I mess it up?" Clara turned, cupping Nora's face. "No, honey. You did something amazing." In the car, Clara stared at the steering wheel, processing the relief, guilt, and fear swirling within. Nora, in the back seat, kicked her, shoes against the seat. "Grandpa wanted Aunt Elise to know, right?" Clara nodded, tears pricking. "And he wanted me to be okay." Nora's small hand reached forward, squeezing Clara's shoulder, a gesture that anchored her. Back in Portland, Clara sat in her cozy apartment, Nora asleep in her ladybug pajamas, her star-shaped purse on the nightstand. The engagement party, replayed, Evelyn's cruel jab, Nora's fearless act, Elise's awakening. Clara's phone lit up with a text from Elise. "You were right to stay quiet, but I was wrong not to ask why. Can I come over tomorrow?" Clara read it thrice, tears falling. Elise hadn't just seen the letter. She'd seen Clara, her silent, struggles acknowledged after years of being overshadowed. The next morning, Elise arrived, a velvet box in hand. "I'm not giving this to Mom," she said, offering the sapphire ring. "It's yours." Clara hesitated, her voice soft. "I don't want it out of pity." Elise shook her head, her eyes earnest. "It's not pity. It's what's right." Clara took the box, her fingers trembling. Inside was the ring, reset for Elise but undeniably her grandmother's. Its sapphire, a deep blue that held decades of family history. It wasn't about the jewel. It was proof Clara hadn't imagined Evelyn's erasures, a tangible validation of her worth. They talked for hours, a rarity in their strained sisterhood. Elise admitted, "I thought you were okay with being in the background. Mom's stories made you seem content. I should have questioned them." Clara nodded, her voice steady. "I stayed quiet to keep peace, but it cost me. I thought you'd never understand." Elise's eyes were red. "I'm starting to. I'll make it right." She planned to reset her engagement ring with a new stone, breaking Evelyn's narrative. Daniel supported her, their bond strengthened by the truth, his quiet presence a contrast to Evelyn's theatrics. Clara hadn't spoken to Evelyn since the party. Evelyn's silence was louder than her jabs, a sign of her wounded pride. Camden's gossip mill churned. Maggie reported whispers at her bookshop, locals dissecting Evelyn's fall. "They're calling it the Whitaker scandal," Maggie said, half amused. Clara shrugged, uninterested in fueling the rumors. She wondered if she'd ever reconcile with Evelyn, but the thought didn't ache as it once had. Nora, drawing at the kitchen table, asked, "Is Grandma still mad?" Clara sighed. "Maybe, but that's her choice." Nora's crayon paused. "You're not invisible, Mom." Clara's heart swelled, her daughter's words a balm. Elise shared the letter's full text, which Clara read alone that night. Henry's words were a lifeline. Clara's strength is her silence, but it's a burden she shouldn't bear. Evelyn's choices hurt her. But you, Elise, can see what she won't. The ring was your grandmother's gift to Clara, a symbol of her worth. Don't let Evelyn rewrite that. Clara cried, not for pain, but for her father's love, preserved in ink. The ring, now in her drawer, was a symbol, not a prize, its weight grounding her. Clara reflected on her life, single motherhood, freelance struggles, Ethan's abandonment. She'd survived by shrinking, but Nora's act showed her silence wasn't weakness. She began sketching again, a passion sidelined by survival, her lines bold and vibrant. Elise called daily, their bond growing through raw, honest talks. "We're not fixed," Elise said, "but we're starting." Clara agreed, feeling the crack in their family widen, but with light seeping through. Maggie, over coffee, marveled, "Nora's a force, Clara. She's your mirror." Clara smiled, seeing it too. 3 weeks after the party, Clara's life shifted. She and Elise met for coffee at Camden's Harbor Brew, a neutral space overlooking the bay. Elise, wearing her new emerald ring, spoke candidly. Mom's spinning stories, saying Dad was confused. "I'm not buying it." Clara nodded, sipping her latte. "She's protecting her image. Always has." Elise sighed, her voice heavy. "I'm done protecting her lies." Their talks, frequent and unguarded, rebuilt trust, not erasing years of distance but acknowledging them with a new honesty. Nora, thriving at school, told her teacher about the letter, calling it Grandpa's secret mission. Her classmates, enthralled, dubbed her the letter hero, and Clara laughed, proud of her daughter's heart. She framed one of Nora's drawings, a family under stars, Clara at the center, for her desk, a reminder of visibility. Work picked. Up, a local gallery, the Coastal Canvas, commissioned her art, her confidence growing. Maggie, helping with the pitch, said, "You're coming alive, Clara." Clara nodded, feeling it. Evelyn remained distant, her silence a wall. Clara sent a text. "I'm here when you're ready," but got no reply. She mourned the loss but felt lighter, unburdened by Evelyn's expectations. Henry's letter, now in a keepsake box with the ring, was a touchstone. Clara read it often, his words grounding her. "You deserve to be seen, Clara, even if you don't shout." She wrote Henry an unsent letter, thanking him for seeing her, vowing to live louder for Nora and herself. Elise and Daniel's wedding plans continued, scaled down, free of Evelyn's orchestration. Clara was invited, not as a helper but a guest. "You're my sister, not staff," Elise said over the phone. Clara smiled, accepting. Nora, excited, picked a dress with firefly embroidery, insisting, "We match, Mom!" Clara's heart lifted, her daughter's joy infectious. She bought Nora a sketchbook, encouraging her stories, seeing Henry's spirit in her bold creativity. Clara's sketches turned to paintings, vibrant seascapes reflecting Maine's rugged coast. The Coastal Canvas planned a gallery opening, her first in years. Elise offered to host, their roles reversing. "You're the star this time," Elise said, her voice warm. Clara laughed, uneasy but warming to the idea. Nora, helping hang art, said, "Grandpa would love these." Clara nodded, believing it. Maggie, organizing the event, predicted, "Camden's gonna eat this up, Clara. You're not just the Whitaker scandal now." The community buzzed about the party, whispers of Evelyn's fall spreading. At Maggie's bookshop, locals debated. Some pitied Evelyn, others admired Nora's courage. Clara avoided gossip, focusing on Nora and her art. She realized silence hadn't been noble, just survival, and Nora's act had freed her to speak. She began teaching Nora to paint, their evenings filled with color and laughter, a new ritual strengthening their bond. 6 months later, Clara stood at her gallery opening, at the Coastal Canvas, her seascapes glowing under soft lights. Elise, Daniel, and Nora mingled, Nora beaming in her firefly dress, proudly explaining her mom's art to guests. Camden's community filled the space, shopkeepers, teachers, even the harbor master, admiring Clara's work, their whispers no longer about scandal but talent. Evelyn didn't attend, her absence noted but not mourned. Clara, once invisible, felt seen, her art a voice she'd silenced too long. Elise, now married, wore her emerald ring, a symbol of her break from Evelyn's lies. She and Clara met weekly, their bond fragile but growing. "I was blind," Elise admitted over wine one night. "I'm learning to see you, Clara." Clara, painting in her spare time, found joy in creation, her confidence spilling into motherhood. Nora, now 11, wrote stories inspired by the letter, her bravery at the party a spark for her own voice. She read one to Clara, a tale of a girl who found a hidden truth, and Clara cried, seeing herself in the pages. Clara visited Henry's grave, placing a pebble on his stone, a Maine tradition. "You gave me back my worth," she whispered, the ring in her pocket. She didn't wear it. Its value was its truth, not its shine. Evelyn sent a curt email, claiming Henry's letter was misguided, but Clara didn't reply. She'd outgrown the need for Evelyn's approval, her focus, on Nora, Elise, and her art. Maggie at the opening hugged her. "You're not the quiet one anymore, Clara." Clara smiled, feeling the truth of it. The gallery sold 5 paintings, funding Nora's art classes and a new laptop for Clara's design work. Clara, teaching Nora to sketch, saw Henry's spirit in her daughter's bold lines. Elise hosted a family dinner, just the 4 of them. Clara, Nora, Elise, Daniel. No Evelyn, no tension. "This is family," Elise said, raising a glass. Clara toasted, her heart full, the absence of Evelyn's shadow a quiet victory. Camden embraced Clara's rise. The harbor master bought a painting, joking, "You Whitakers keep us talking." Clara laughed, no longer defined by scandal. She spoke at Nora's school, sharing her art journey, inspiring kids to find their voice. Nora beamed, whispering, "You're cooler than YouTube moms." Clara hugged her, believing it. Reflecting, Clara saw her journey. Not a fairy tale, but a reckoning. She'd been quiet, not weak, and Nora's act had shown her strength. The ring, letter, and paintings were proof she wasn't invisible. She wasn't Elise's star or Evelyn's shadow. She was Clara. Enough. As Nora slept, Clara painted a self-portrait, her face lit by courage, no longer hidden. She hung it in her living room, a declaration of visibility, her legacy to Nora and herself. If. The letter that broke the silence. Stirred your soul? Hit subscribe and join our story-loving community. Share this tale with someone who's felt unseen. Like, comment. What moment hit you hardest? Your support fuels these raw, real stories. Thanks for watching. You make these truths shine.